On the night of December 2nd, 1984, in the quiet city of Bhopal, India, the world witnessed one of the deadliest industrial disasters in history. Inside a pesticide factory owned by the American company Union Carbide, a deadly accident occurred. A tank containing methyl isocyanate gas began to leak. It was just after midnight when disaster struck. The city, usually alive with the hum of late-night traffic and distant voices, was eerily quiet. Suddenly, from the heart of the industrial district, a silent menace began to seep into the air. Within minutes, a toxic cloud, colorless, invisible, and deadly, spread across the sleeping city, carried by a gentle breeze that wound its way through alleyways and open windows. The gas, heavier than air, crept along the ground, slipping under doors and through cracks, invading homes where families lay unaware in their beds. At first, there was confusion, a strange acrid smell, a burning sensation in the eyes and throat. People woke up choking, eyes burning, lungs collapsing, their bodies reacting violently to the poison in the air. Some tried to shout warnings, but their voices were hoarse, barely more than a whisper. Panic spread as the gas thickened, making it nearly impossible to breathe. In the darkness, families stumbled from their beds, coughing and gasping, desperate for fresh air. Mothers clutched their children, fathers tried to shield their loved ones, but the cloud was everywhere, relentless and inescapable. In the chaos, families ran through the streets, not knowing what was happening. Some clung to each other, stumbling blindly through the thick haze, while others became separated in the confusion. The city's narrow lanes, filled with terrified crowds, their faces twisted in fear and disbelief. Sirens wailed in the distance, but help seemed impossibly far away. For many, the only thought was to escape, to get as far from the invisible killer as possible. But the toxic cloud moved faster than anyone could run, enveloping everything in its path. In those desperate moments, the city was transformed. A place of safety and comfort became a nightmare, where every breath was a struggle and every second counted. By morning, thousands of people were dead. Men, women, and children collapsed in their homes, and tens of thousands were left injured or permanently scarred. And the horror didn't end there. The night of the disaster may have passed, but its shadow still lingers over Bhopal, refusing to fade with time. As the city tries to move forward, the scars of that fateful night remain etched into the very landscape, a constant reminder of the tragedy that unfolded. The silence of the abandoned factory is deafening, echoing with memories of loss and pain. For many, the events of that night are not just a chapter in history. They are a living, breathing reality that continues to shape their lives every single day. Even today, the soil and water around the factory remain contaminated, poisoned by the chemicals that seeped deep into the earth and groundwater. Decades have passed, but the toxic legacy of the disaster persists. The land that once supported thriving communities and lush vegetation is now tainted, unable to sustain healthy life. Local residents, many of whom have lived here for generations, are forced to contend with the invisible dangers lurking beneath their feet and in the water they drink. The contamination is not just a distant memory. It is a daily threat, affecting every aspect of life in the surrounding neighborhoods. Efforts to clean up the site have been slow and in many cases inadequate. Toxic waste still sits in open pits, exposed to the elements, leaching hazardous substances into the environment with every passing rain. The air carries a faint, acrid smell, a constant reminder of the chemicals that once escaped into the night. For those who live nearby, the fear of what lies beneath the surface is ever present. They worry about the food they grow, the water they use, and the health of their children. The disaster has left a legacy of uncertainty, as families wonder if the land will ever truly be safe again. And perhaps the most heartbreaking consequence is that new generations are born with birth defects and illnesses caused by that one night. In hospitals across Bhopal, doctors and nurses care for children suffering from a range of health problems, respiratory issues, neurological disorders, and physical deformities that can be traced back to the toxic exposure their parents or even grandparents endured. Families gather in crowded hospital wards, seeking answers and hope, but often finding only more questions. The pain of the past is written on the faces of these children, many of whom will never know a life free from illness. The community has come together to support one another, but the burden is immense. Parents grieve for the futures their children might have had, and young people grow up in the shadow of a disaster they did not cause. The suffering is not limited to physical health. The psychological toll is profound, as families struggle with trauma, loss, and the ongoing uncertainty of what the future holds. The Bhopal disaster is not just a story of a single night. It is a story of generations, of lives forever altered, and of a community still fighting for justice, healing, and hope. It was a disaster that revealed the dark side of industrial negligence, a reminder that, honestly, profits should never come before human lives. But the haunting question remains, who was truly responsible, and has justice ever been served? The Bhopal tragedy wasn't just an accident. It was really a warning to the whole world about the cost of greed and carelessness. If this story moved you, subscribe for more powerful stories from history and hit the like button. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you these incredible narratives. Every like, every subscription, and every comment fuels our journey to uncover and share the most compelling moments from our past. We believe that history is not just a series of dates and events, but a tapestry of human experiences that shape who we are today. By subscribing, you become part of a community that values the lessons and stories of our shared history. And don't forget to tell us in the comments what you think. Your feedback is invaluable and helps us decide what stories to tell next. Should the next video be about the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, a catastrophic event that changed the course of nuclear energy and had profound impacts on the environment and human health. The Chernobyl disaster is a story of heroism, tragedy, and the long-lasting effects of radiation. It's a tale that reminds us of the power and danger of nuclear energy and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of disaster. Or should we delve into the Beirut port explosion, one of the largest non-nuclear explosions in history? This tragic event not only devastated the city, but also highlighted issues of governance, safety, and the resilience of communities in the aftermath of disaster. The Beirut port explosion is a story of loss, but also of hope and rebuilding. It's a reminder of the fragility of life and the strength of the human spirit. By sharing these stories, we aim to honor the memories of those affected and learn from these events to build a better future. So, let us know in the comments. Should our next deep dive be into the haunting legacy of Chernobyl or the devastating impact of the Beirut port explosion? Your voice matters, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts. Thank you for being part of our journey to uncover the stories that shape our world. Stay tuned, stay curious, and keep exploring history with us.